video is sponsored by Supply Handlers.
The 2026 World Cup is going to signal the end of an era for many. Some legends who have graced our screens for years are currently having their last dance in North America, so we have to enjoy every single moment of it with them. Who are some of these players? You'll find out in this video today. These are 7 players who will retire after the World Cup. We'll start with Manuel Neuer. He's surely going to say a final goodbye to Germany after this World Cup. We know this for sure because he'd already said his goodbyes 2 years ago after the Euros. But due to an injury to Stegen, which prevented him from being at this World Cup, Nagelsmann asked the Bayern legend to return for one final dance. So I guess we can confidently say that Neuer will retire from international football after this World Cup, even though we think he'll actually go a couple more years before saying goodbye to football proper. But as for Guillermo Ochoa, he's set to say a final goodbye to the sport as a whole once this tournament is over. He held out for one more World Cup because the legend just could not miss a World Cup in Mexico, could he? Now he's been named in 6 different World Cup squads, which is a record that he shares with Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. But this is where it ends for Ochoa, a World Cup on home soil. How poetic. The 40-year-old goalkeeper has announced that he'll retire from professional football once this tournament is over, saying goodbye to the sport he loves so much. He'll be hoping to make history with Mexico in his last ever mission as a footballer, and perhaps reach the semi-final of the competition for the first time in their history. Can he do that? Only time will tell. Anyway, another goalkeeper who will surely be retiring after this tournament is Craig Gordon. The 43-year-old Scotsman is the oldest player at this World Cup, and this will surely be his last outing with the national team. He just could not miss Scotland's return to the big stage for the first time in nearly 3 decades. And you know what's really interesting about Gordon's case? He had actually quit football some 14 years ago. Following the expiration of his contract with Sunderland in 2012, he stayed away from football for 2 years because of knee problems. During this period, he worked in television and then went into coaching. He was already 30 years old, so everyone thought that he was done playing professionally. But he returned to football in 2014, signing with Celtic. He would work his way back into the Scotland team and start to get called up again. He was in goal in November last year when Scotland beat Denmark to secure qualification for this World Cup for the first time in 28 years, so he surely deserves to be here. But here's why we think that he'll hang it up after this tournament. He was so close to retiring from football last year, but the Scotland coach convinced him to extend with his club for an extra year as he felt he could use Gordon's experience at the World Cup. Well, Gordon listened and is now at the World Cup. But having finally gotten a taste of World Cup football for the first time, there's nothing left for him. His contract at Hearts has already expired, so everyone is just now waiting for that announcement from the man who turns 44 this year. And we're so sure that it will come once Scotland's World Cup comes to an end. Another player set to retire after this tournament is Luka Modric. Following the season he just had with AC Milan, where they failed to qualify for the Champions League, we believe that the Croatian is going to call it quits on the game. His contract with the club has now expired, so he could very easily walk away from it all without issues. And what better way to say goodbye to the beautiful game than to do it at the biggest stage in the sport? Modric turns 41 this year and he has done it all in football. He's won the Champions League a joint record 6 times, has won multiple league titles, has played in the World Cup final and has even won the Ballon d'Or. There's nothing really left for him. He's seen it all and done it all. So it really does feel like a great time for him to say goodbye. Also, Florentino Perez has already offered him a role at Real Madrid once he retires. Now that the midfielder knows that he has a job waiting for him after retirement, he might be more motivated to hang up his boots this summer. Of course, Modric would be hoping to bow out of the game with a bang by perhaps leading Croatia to another World Cup final. And what a beautiful story that will be. But even if it doesn't happen, we're quite confident that the legend's football journey ends at the 2026 World Cup. Hey fam, this is your chance to build the jersey collection you've been waiting for. The Goal 90 bundle deal is live. Buy 2 jerseys and get 10% off. Buy 3 and get 15% off. Buy 4 and get a massive 25% off. Club kits, country kits, retro classics, pick your favourites and save big. And yes, every order comes with free worldwide shipping. The deal runs only until the end of May. Goal90 Bundle Deal. Buy more, save more. Shop now at Goal90 Shop. Another legend whose journey might end here is Yuto Nagatomo. The former Inter Milan fullback is a legend of Japanese football and their second most capped player of all time. He turns 40 years old this year and we're just so certain that this will be his final assignment as a Japan international. He came close to retiring in 2022 after Japan was knocked out by Croatia on penalties, but he decided to stay back and has now made history by becoming the first Japanese player to be named in 5 different World Cup squads. But this will surely be his last. A retirement from international football is surely coming, but we're not sure if he's going to retire from the sport just yet. He left Europe 5 years ago and moved back to Japan to play for FC Tokyo, and just last year he signed an open-ended contract with the club, so we actually don't think that he'll hang his boots just yet. But as for international retirement, yeah, that is surely coming. Retirement is also surely coming for Edin Dzeko. His late equaliser against Wales in the playoffs helped Bosnia and Herzegovina secure qualification for this World Cup. Now, the former Man City striker is leading his nation to what's only its second World Cup campaign ever and its first in 12 years. However, now at the age of 40, we're pretty sure it's going to be his last ever. Having become the nation's most capped player and record goalscorer, Dzeko has since established himself as the greatest Bosnian player ever, and in his final outing, he'll be hoping to help them reach the knockout rounds of the World Cup for the first time in their history. Considering he just helped Schalke 04 secure promotion back to the Bundesliga, he might not retire from football just yet, but that international retirement is surely coming after this tournament. Finally, Neymar will very likely retire after this World Cup. At 34, you could say that he's probably not yet at the age of retirement in the modern era, but his career has certainly been different from most. He has really suffered too many injury problems and continues to suffer them to date. Because of his fitness issues, he very nearly did not make it to this year's World Cup, but Ancelotti eventually decided to call him, even though he had to sit out the group opener. But this is certainly Neymar's last dance for Brazil. That we know for sure. He's hoping to give his absolute all to bring the World Cup back to Brazil for the first time in 24 years, and if he does, he will definitely say goodbye to the game as a fulfilled man. But even if he doesn't, we still think that that's going to be goodbye for him. Yes, he didn't manage to win the Ballon d'Or like many expected him to, but he had a very full career. He won the Champions League, completed the treble, won several other trophies, entertained millions, and inspired a whole generation. There's nothing left for him, really. He's also already gone full circle with his career by returning to Brazil to play for his boyhood club, so truly, the man has done it all. The last year and a half for Neymar has been all about doing enough to make it to the World Cup this summer. He did make it, and we really do think that he'll be ready to close the book once this chapter's over. International retirement? That is certain. Full retirement from the game? We think that's also very likely. Now, we intentionally left out Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo because, while international retirement seems likely and realistic because of their ages, everyone has just been playing this game for too long with them. If you remember, back at the 2018 World Cup, almost everyone spoke with certainty that that was going to be their last World Cup. They did the same in 2022 as well. Well, we are no longer taking the bait with those two aliens. They will retire whenever they want to retire. I mean, the World Cup is going to Portugal in 2030 and one game will be hosted in Argentina as part of the centenary celebrations. That alone is enough motivation for those two to hold out for another World Cup, so you never can tell. Anyway, it's now time to hear from you guys. If you were to tell just one player to retire from football after this World Cup, who would it be? Tell us in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, turn on the bell notification so that you never miss out on new content. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.